Can you hear me?
Oh my gosh.
What?
I hate to say it, I think it's working.
Hang on, I'm gonna pull up YouTube.
Stand by.
Oh no, Stephanie. You're not getting out of the meeting. Okay, finance is live. I got it.
Yes. Okay, we're good.
Sweet.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Good morning. Oh, I gotta let Terry in. Sorry.
The only reason it's working is that finance has the most people that watch, and it knows that, so it just took care of business.
I need
You're the
help.
boss.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We can hear you, we just can't see you, Mamie.
I know it. I've been pushing the video and stuff. It says sign in and leave meeting and cancel and
Let me see if I can, what does this do here? Let's see here.
I haven't.
All right, I just sent you, I asked to start video, maybe. You might see that pop up somewhere.
Okay. And that's what I see, the Zoom sign, but I don't see the video down here.
Madam Chair, do you want me to have Braden call you?
Yes.
Okay.
And Terry, will you go ahead and start? It says I'm talking to you. Speak to the gallery. John.
Yep.
Does John hear me? John, would you go ahead and start?
Sure, I can. I don't have an agenda in front of me, but let's get underway with this meeting for the Finance Committee.
Mhm.
And Stephanie, can you give us a hand? Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Yarborough?
Present. There I am.
It's a hallelujah day.
Look, I've been pushing everything I had with this thing.
I think with that, I think I'll turn it right back over to you, Madam Chair.
She got it.
Good call, John. Good call.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome
Oh.
to the Marion County Finance Committee. We're all here. Maybe start Stephanie Carlton. Would you please call the roll?
Okay, Commissioner Yarborough. She here or she leave?
Mamie, you're present and from the city of Benton Harbor, oops, sorry, and Zoom.
Oh, yes, thank you. I forgot. I had to get-
Commissioner Hinkleman?
Yes, here at Waterloo.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scott?
Present via Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
And Commissioner Freeling?
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Thank you. Annette, would you help us with the agenda, or are you going to put it on screen?
No, we're gonna just go ahead and go. We don't want to jinx anything. So Braden's here. He's gonna do a bid opening for 2021-006.
Jake.
Oh, did I say Braden? Sorry, Jake.
Jake, good luck with your opening.
Alright, so this is the bid 2021-06 for trap rock from the road department. We sent it out to 10 people and 1 responded. That is Verplank out of Ferrisburg, Michigan.
And you know, I remember this day when we did it, all the companies that bid it did not bid that, so they didn't carry that top, whatever it is, top rock. So there are not many companies that carry this.
I have no idea.
For the road, isn't it?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Madam Chair, you're correct. that the last time we had this bid, it had been sent out and nobody else bid on it because nobody was carrying trap rock at the time.
That's right. That's what it is.
So that was last year. To our administrator, I would just like to point out, is there any money in the budget to get Jake a letter opener, please? Thank you.
There is one upstairs, just forgot it.
I think Braden's using it.
So their one bid totals $99,755.
Thank you. On our piece of paper, that we send with that when it's out for bid, does it have an estimate of what they thought it should run?
Yes, and the estimate for this was $112,500.
Okay, that feels good. That feels okay. So please, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I move that we send this bid back to the road department for their purview. Make sure it hits all the things it's supposed to. And the rest of the road department motion, whatever that is, Stephanie can put that in.
Do you want it read? Members, should we read it? Administrator, read the one motion? Do you think, Brian, do you think we should read that motion?
We've got the one bid. It's going to be referred back to the road department for approval. I think that if this group is comfortable just sending it back to the road department, that's sufficient.
Okay. May I have a support, please? Support, John Hinkle?
Madam Chair, this is support.
John, or you agree? John, do you make the motion?
I agree. I think the motion was made by Ezra and Harry supported it, and I agree when the vote comes.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by aye.
We have to do roll call, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll get together in a minute. Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman, Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Just one. Thank you.
Do we want to slide in Jill's
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, that's, Commissioners, one of the items that we're hoping to address today is a couple of items for the Parks Department. We do have Jill here today, and we were hoping to have the committee consider action on a lawnmower and a beach rake. Is the committee comfortable with moving her into the, essentially sliding her in front of the transit discussion?
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to go ahead, you pick which item you
Sure.
want to do first.
We'll talk first about the Barber Beach Rake. A memo went out listing the reasons for this purchase and why we would like to go with a single source procurement with the manufacturer of this machine. There was a picture on the memo, just to give you an idea what we're talking about. It's a very specialty piece of equipment. It's used for many months throughout the year, 4 to 6 times a week, to clean the beachfront. And the current machine that we have is 26 years old. It has got us through many summers, obviously, and it's definitely at the end of its lifespan. We have received very good customer service from Barber directly when we've needed parts. We've refurbished the machine a number of years ago to make it last longer, and they are willing to do the trade value as well when they come to deliver a new machine. This type of machinery, the Barber beach rake, is also used in St. Joe and Benton Harbor beaches, and they are the leading company worldwide. Excellent. That looks exactly like our machine, but it's not our beach. So we are in need of purchasing this essential piece of equipment, and we'd like to go directly with Barber, who we've worked with over the last 26 years.
Do you have any questions, committee?
No, this is not something that's on my deal either, correct?
I don't believe, is it a my deal purchase?
This particular machine is not. I spoke with Barber yesterday, and they said that this piece of machine is on the national cooperative purchasing, and they've extended that price to us that would be on that national cooperative list.
All right, thank you. And I only have one other question. Jill, who does all the service work and repair work, maintenance work on this? Because we don't have mechanics at the Parks Department. Is this something Motor Pool takes care of, or I don't know?
If there was for a refurbishment, Barber would come and assist us, but our maintenance staff is very familiar with this type of machinery. They can do the day-to-day maintenance or the regular year-to-year upkeep and maintenance themselves.
Great, thank you. I'm good with this, by the way, committee.
Yes, and that's what, as I read what Brian had written to us, you all, that Barber responds so well that you don't want to have to, deal with any other company. Is that so, Jill?
Correct. They've been great to work with and respond very quickly.
And they're local, huh?
No, ma'am.
Barber's not local?
No, it's a company it's a nationwide company.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I read. Okay.
The next item,
Yeah.
the mower is a local purchase item.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we make a motion on this by each, or is it consensus?
Motion.
Please, may I have a motion? Or do you all have any other questions about this mower? May I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Freeland. I would make the motion that based on the memo received and the information presented today, that we approve the single sourcing of this equipment for the Parks Department.
Yep. Thank you. May I have a support?
Trying to hit unmute, Madam Chair. I'll support.
Okay, it's been supported. Any further questions? Then the same motion, does the same motion fit this for the, oh no, this is Parks. It's been moved and properly supported. Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes. Next item.
Jill, you did your mower, right?
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. The next item for Parks equipment is our zero-turn mower. Again, another very essential piece of equipment for our Parks Department. 7 properties are maintained by 3 staff, and this is a very essential piece of equipment, of course. We've been working with Greenmark Equipment on some of our other material tractors and gators. They have a zero-turn mower available that they've given us a price for, so we're asking for single source procurement through Greenmark Equipment, who we currently work with. They have provided exceptional customer service through the year. They are about 5 minutes from our main maintenance garage, which has proved to be very beneficial.
Yeah.
They provide a zero downtime guaranteed. So in the heart of the season, if the equipment does need to be taken for maintenance, they would assist us in getting replacement equipment so we can get through the season. And they, the trade value is not included in the packet that was sent to you, so that will be an additional savings on top of the quote they provided.
Any questions? And is this replacing one we have or addition?
It's replacing.
Is there, do they take that as trade, or did you just say that it'll be less?
Yes, they will take that as a trade and provide that value off of their current quote.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott.
Oh, the motion wasn't made, was it?
Well, I'm going to make it now.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead with a single source for this John Deere mower.
Yes. Support,
I will
please.
support.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly supported. Any further questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman, Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes.
Now, can I ask a question?
Madam Chair, Annette's got a question for you.
Sorry, so the tractor, I saw the mower, I did see that on the rec list, but I didn't see did we do one for the beach rake as well?
We did, I can follow up when I go upstairs if you need me to.
So we would add that, the finance committee, the mower was already on the rec list that I sent to you, but I must have missed the beach rake. So we would like to try to get that on there today so we can get that rolling as well. Are you guys okay with us adding that to the requisition list
Yes, please. Fine.
for today? Okay, all right, so we'll make that happen before the board meeting. And can you print the rec for me and then just lay it on my chair?
Mhm.
Perfect, okay.
Thank you,
And
Tim.
then
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Administrator, Lissette, you had something about jail.
Yep. So the last item that's not an immediate agenda item is this long simmering issue with our jail project. And currently we've got jail doors that do not meet the specification. They were supposed to travel at a rate of, I believe, 15 inches per second. The spec by our consultant without the county's permission was then modified to 10 inches per second. And the garage doors, as they're currently installed, move at a rate of about 4.5 inches per second. Over the past several months, the staff and the team from the Sheriff's Department have reached the conclusion that a product called a Rytec door is the preferred option. The quote is in front of you all, and we are asking for permission to move forward with the installation of this door. It will meet the Sheriff's Department's expectations, and we do have financial commitments from both the design consultant as well as the contractor for a pretty significant deduct in the overall project to help fund the installation of the Rytec doors.
Any questions or discussion?
Brian, this is Commissioner Scott. I have a question.
Yeah.
were these doors already installed? Not these, but the other ones?
They are, sir, and it is currently a discussion between us, the contractor, and the design consultant as to whether or not the existing doors will stay in place. I think there's some back and forth between the contractor and the sub as to whether or not there's salvage value. The Rytec door would be mounted exterior. It would be on the exterior wall. The existing doors are mounted on the interior wall. So we are planning that you potentially have an interior door, an exterior door, and the interior is a very a heavy-duty door with full insulation. In the event that we have some type of security issue, we anticipate we would close both of the doors. However, there appears to be some chatter that the contractor may take it upon themselves to remove the interior door at their cost. It would no additional cost to the county.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, when I first saw that, I know you had told us about some doors rusting, and I thought that's what this was. But these are power doors? Is that what when you talk about how many seconds?
Yep. So as you drive by the jail, there's two very large garage doors that are the 2 points of entry into the Sally Port.
Yeah.
Those doors have had multiple maintenance issues, regular failures, and as constructed, they do not meet the spec. And moreover, the spec was actually lowered without the county's blessing. So we are getting, we've got it admitted that from both the contractor and design consultant that they're going to credit us back money so that we can just go direct drive with the garage door installer and have these installed. I think this makes sense. I know that the undersheriff, the sheriff have both signed off that they believe this is the solution. The undersheriff has done quite a bit of outreach with public agencies. The Rapid up in Grand Rapids has this style of garage door, as well as the U.S. Marshal Service uses this type of garage door on some of their facilities. The Rytec door is just it's a higher speed garage door, and I think that this will be a good fit for the jail. Now, the commissioner brought up, or the chair brought up the security doors. That is a separate issue that this board can plan to review at a later date. But the security doors, there's roughly 30 of them, and we are facing some rust issues on those. And we are still working through how that issue is going to be addressed.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, Brian, would you always be on the lookout for this? Because I don't want the design team, architectural, or the builder to do any back charging or percentage over on the amount for these doors that are these new doors, because it'll be a separate company who is not part of the contract at all to come and install those, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. If you would just monitor that to make sure that there's no additional value, 10 or 15 or 20%. Okay, thank you.
And just to give you all an idea, I know that discussion of garage doors isn't always the most exciting thing, but here's a sample of the product that we'll be acquiring. So that's a Rytec door that's in operation at dramatically different speed than what we currently have at the jail. So this is something that we've spent months working on, and between myself and the undersheriff, we're both confident that this is the solution.
Okay. And what is it that you want the finance committee to do? We don't have to
If you can-
spend any money for this, do we, or the money's already been charged to us?
No, ma'am. So the quote that I'll put up in front of you,
Yeah, okay.
I'm asking for authorization to proceed with the quote. And this is one that this has not gone through the formal bid process. It's tied to the previously bid jail project. But we're asking for a waiver of the bidding process and approval to proceed with the amount as quoted.
Okay. And this is included in the bill we already have, but it's just a different product? I'm just trying to think about the money. What money, no more money is it costing us?
So the total project cost would be $115,860.
And that was in the bill somewhere for doors before?
Well, it's tied to the overall project. We do have concessions coming from the consultant as well as from the contractor. We have those both verbal and in writing.
Okay,
We're still working on concessions related to the security doors.
okay,
So it's two separate issues.
all right. Any other questions, members? Would you call, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll make the motion to go with these doors as explained by our county administrator, with the caveat that the county administrator will come back to this finance committee at a later date and let us know exactly how much money we got back for the bad installation of the other doors.
Not a problem.
All right.
I'll
May I have
support.
support?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeland. I support.
Thank you. Any further questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Jamie?
Yes?
oh, okay.
I
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yeah.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you, it passes. Administrator Dissect, do you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. And Matt?
Yep, so the next thing on the agenda is community development, and you have both Dan Fetty and Evan Smith on Zoom to talk about a couple of resolutions coming forward with the deal with Berrien Bus.
Good morning. Welcome, Dan, and welcome, Evan.
Morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
I hear you.
Okay. Evan has two resolutions to present to you today, which are routine resolutions for Berrien Bus. One is a funding resolution that we have to submit every year at this time of the year. The other is an approval of federal Title VI policy, which we have to do once every 3 years, as I recall. So, but before we get into those, Brian asked, and members of the BCAT team, this is the advisory council that's assisting with Berrien Bus right now, asked that we give you a very brief update on what's going on with Berrien Bus, which I will do here for you. I should mention that next week, we will be with the full board for a block period of time to give you an extended PowerPoint presentation on the financials of Berrien Bus and what we've done over the last 6 months and what the plan is moving forward in the following 6 months. So this is just a quick summation of something more detailed that you'll see next week that we're working on. So briefly, as everyone recalls, in May, our third-party operator TMI announced they were going out of business. That forced us more or less, and the only option we had at the time was to bring on a number of the former TMI employees to help maintain the operations of the bus system, which had to be accomplished before July 1st. We were able to do that. It took quite a bit of time to actually get all of the staff on board, but we are fully staffed. as we talked about in our budget hearing, we went through this with you. And we brought them on as temporary employees, working 100 or 1,000 hours a year. In addition to that, as we presented in our budget review, we budgeted some contingency in the event that some of these employees exceed the 1,000-hour threshold, and we have to alter their employment status. Right now, depending on the direction we go with Berry and Bus, that may or may not be something we'll have to do, but we're working to try to ensure that that's not something we have to do. So we finished the year with our operating hours considerably reduced. No surprise there because of the lockdowns and the stay-at-home orders, the elimination or reduction of truancy academy contracts, the public school contracts that we have, where obviously with kids we're learning remotely, we're not doing as many as those, as well as some of the reduction in congregate care non-emergency medical trips that we would normally provide. So our hours were down, but the good news is that we finished the year in the black for the first time in, I think, 9 years, 10 years maybe. And that's largely a result of the substantial increase in federal funding that we've received via the CARES Act. There's been more of a doubling of federal funding from last year into this year, and it'll carry forward at least to some degree into federal 2022 fiscal year. So we think we finished, we haven't, wrapped up the full closure on the books, but we think we finished about $25,000 or $30,000 in the black this year, which brings our fund balance back up to over about $200,000. Now, the basic challenge that we're facing with Berry and Bus is no different than it's been for the last decade, which is that, Berry and Bus is comprised of two basic operations. One, public service, so general public ridership, and the other, contract service, the contracts that we have with various service agencies and educational institutions. Those contracts have always made money, and they continue to make money. In fact, we generate a profit every year on our contract rides. The general public ridership is the area where we lose money every year, and this is consistent with every transit system in Michigan. You don't make money on general public ridership. What we've done in the past, of course, is use the profits from the contract side of operations to offset the losses on the general public ridership. And that was sufficient for years and years and years until about 9 years ago when our contract revenue started to decline. And we found ourselves in a position where the profits from the contracts could not satisfy the deficit of general public. And we're in the same situation now as we've always been. General public ridership is we've talked to the commissioners before about this. It typically operates under what we call an 80-20 funding split. 80% of the funding for general public ridership comes from federal, state, and fare box receipts. 20% comes from some local source of money. That would be a millage in most cases, or direct contributions by participating governments and entities, or in our case, the contract revenue. We are in a situation.
Excuse me. In our case, what?
The contract revenue, the excess the profits on the contract.
Okay, thanks.
We're in a situation, as we have been for years, where if we don't identify an alternative source of local revenue, we won't continue to be able to provide general public ridership, demand response ridership. We just can't afford to do it without some assistance on that 20% side of the cost. We've been through various studies. There was discussion of consolidation. There was the service plans that were provided, and that was all in an effort to encourage either a countywide contribution through a millage or other means, or local contributions from agencies, governments, and so forth. The idea, as you recall, is that we were going to run a 2-year pilot program providing enhanced services in local communities as an effort to try to encourage local communities to directly participate or contribute financially to the system. That has not been possible in the COVID era because we're just barely running minimal services right now. Meeting with the BCAT team over the last 2.5 months, we proposed and discussed with the BCAT team that Evan and I should go and meet with various local governments where we're providing a high level of service currently, and various contract partners where we're providing a high level of service currently, and determine whether or not there's an appetite on behalf of these partners to actually provide direct contributions, financial contributions to the system. And the idea would be that a local government would pay a fixed rate amount for an hourly use of time. And then we would contribute that to the 20% cost that we need to run the system. That's realistically, that's the only option that we can come up with that could potentially save the public ridership side of our operations. In the past month, we've had meetings with a handful of local governments to discuss possibilities of how we could partner with them to do this. We've also met with some educational institutions and some of our contract counterparties to talk about how we could partner to do this. The idea would be that a contributing community or contract partner could form an agency partnership amongst themselves or with the county, depending on what the preference would be. And that agency could then take over the operations of Berrien Bus in the long term. And those communities that chose to contribute financially to the system would have an agency partnership stake in the operations of this. So that is where we are. I can't tell you whether or not we think this will be successful. It's the effort that we're making right now to try to find a solution to this, to try to find some source of local revenue to keep the general public ridership component of the system running. And also, we are concerned that if we shut down general public ridership, that will undoubtedly impact our ability to run these contracts as well. And we want to make sure that our counterparties who relied on these contracts do have a reliable form of transportation in the future. In the alternative, if we can't get the local communities to participate, or if they feel that it's not within their interest to do so, Evan and I are also looking at a plan B, which would be to create an agency partnership with our contract partners, turn over operations to this new agency so that at least the contracts can be maintained over time, because that is, of course, the one sustainable component of the system right now. So I know that's a very convoluted, or I don't want to say convoluted, but it's a lot of information to provide you in a short period of time, but we will give a much more fleshed out, detailed presentation to this commissioners next week, including our end of the year financial statements and the overall strategy moving forward.
And this is Commissioner Freeling, can you also just touch very briefly on the fact that when we're talking about the agency partnership, it is a different structure than what was proposed 5 years ago with regards to the concept of the authority, because there was some pushback and some questions that came from this board and from the public with regards to that structuring, and what's being proposed by staff is different.
Thank you. That's absolutely right. And we think this is actually a more palatable structure. The original discussion of an authority would have been created under Public Act 196, the state of Michigan. That authority would have encompassed the entire county, and anyone within the jurisdiction was in the authority and would have been subject to any kind of funding structure that the authority determined. And that's where there was a lot of concern, is that there were some communities that we knew would say, look, we don't want to be in this. We're not utilizing the service that much. What we've decided instead is to look at some models that other counties have used throughout Michigan, where instead of trying to create a large constituted corporation to run public service across the county, they have instead, local communities have partnered with each other under the Urban Cooperation Act to share a service and to share the funding of that service. So it's a voluntary process, as opposed to the creation of a countywide authority would be almost involuntary in a sense. There is some opt-out provisions in it, but what we're proposing is a true contract partnership from community to community so that they can share a service together. And as I said, that could be directly amongst the communities, or it could be in partnership with the county. It depends on the structure that works for everyone, but that's what we're pursuing, which is, as you indicated, Commissioner, substantially different than what was proposed originally.
Okay,
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that explanation.
thank you. And you know that because you're on the transportation committee, you and
Yes, Madam Chair, that is correct.
Commissioner Scott, the two of you.
No, ma'am. It is Commissioner Harrison and Commissioner Kern and myself,
Thank
as
you.
well as staff. Mhm.
Thank you. Any further any questions of Dan right now?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. Dan,
Yes.
thank you for that. I still have some questions that need to be answered. We took this over in May.
Mhm.
A couple of things had happened. First of all, Evan was supposed to report back to finance 6 months later on a report on how we were doing. We still haven't received that. Now, that being said, when we did this, the county board authorized $200,000, $100,000 per year. It's my understanding that this 100,000 that we put in for 2020 and then another one in 2021, this new transportation update agreement for the MDOT funding, there's been no talk of the county putting in any money because it was just for the 2 years. If you happen to remember, that's what I truly believe. So based on that, if you received $100,000 from the county board for 2020, yes, for 2020, and you're saying you're $25,000 in the black, does that mean in essence 125,000?
No, Commissioner, if I can clarify that, the $200,000 appropriation that was contemplated for county fiscal year 2021, or pardon me, county fiscal year 2020 and county fiscal year 2021 was specifically to run the pilot program outlined in the service plan that was prepared a few years ago. Because of COVID, because of the turnover in operations, and because of the limited number of hours that we've been able to run, we did not run the pilot program last year, nor are we running it this year. So we never took the $200,000. Okay, it didn't go into our 2020 budget, and it's not part of our 2021 budget.
All right, thank you. I was unsure of, and that's why I'm glad you're here to explain that. Because I was like, oh, if you went 25,000 in the black, does that mean it was 125,000, or is the county $75,000 in the hole?
No, we haven't taken a dime from the county for the last 2 years. And the reason, as I said, the reason we're in the black realistically is because our federal funding, our reimbursement funding from the federal government more than doubled and is continuing to be reimbursed at a more than double rate through this year into next year.
All right, and my last question is on the resolution for the MDOT funding for Berrien Bus. Let's go wild here. Let's go worst case scenario that our plans don't work out. How much money are we going to have to give back the state if we don't have a Berrien Bus?
See, the way, and Evan mentioned this, I think, in the memo that went out to finance, this is a placeholder right now just to ensure that we're eligible for funding if there is a Berrien Bus in fiscal year 2022. Okay. The thing to remember is that the money doesn't come to us as an upfront allocation from the federal government. We have to generate hours of operation and then submit for reimbursement against those hours of operation.
Okay.
So we never receive money in advance. It's always reimbursed to us. And in fact, there's always a considerable lag between the point that we incur the cost and the point we get reimbursed.
I remember that. I forgot. Sometimes it's like the next year.
Yeah, there's always a rollover from year to year that we have to account for.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And that leads me to my next question, which is then how does that affect the money for purchase of new transportation equipment?
That has no effect on it. That's actually the purchase of transportation equipment is a separate source of funding from the federal government passed through to the state. You know, in the worst case scenario, Commissioner, let's say we find ourselves in a situation where we just can no longer maintain Berrien Bus at any level, which I certainly hope is not the case. We will have all the, we will have assets left over. We will have buses and the bus garage and all the other physical assets that we possess. And we would have to find a way of eventually returning those assets either to the state of Michigan, or if hopefully in the worst case scenario, we can provide those assets to some other entity that would need them for operating purposes. But it's the capital cost, which is the purchase of equipment, is separate from the operating cost. And what Evan's proposing to you is our placeholder for operations.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm glad because I didn't understand that totally. Thank you.
Dan, before we move further, it's come up a couple of times. I'd like to know, what is our fiscal year for transportation?
This is where it gets confusing. We
Okay,
budget, as part of the county budget, we are budgeted on the county's fiscal year, January to December.
okay,
The reimbursements that we receive from the state and federal government are budgeted on the federal and state fiscal year, which is October to September. So there's always this 3-month period where we're operating under kind of two different budgets, where we have to reconcile the federal fiscal year to the county fiscal year. And we go through this every year. That's why we have to have an audit that reconciles all of this, but
okay,
it can be confusing. So the resolutions that you're seeing here are for the federal 2022 fiscal year, which would start in October of this year.
okay. Okay,
And the reason, Dan and Evan, that these are coming before the board at this time is because that is the timeline with regards to when these need to be filed. Obviously, there's an opportunity as we continue down the road of discussion for Berrien Bus and what that ultimately will look like. We do have the opportunity to amend that as needed as things become clearer to us.
That's absolutely right. And that we do that frequently, just in general, non-emergency years. We have to get the request in this time of the year. And like I've indicated, that's kind of a generalized placeholder. What will happen over the course of the next 3 to 4 months is that we will undoubtedly modify that request before the start of the federal fiscal year. And we've done that many times in the past based on, let's say we lose a contract and we know that we're going to have lower operating hours. We will modify that before, I think generally try to do it before August so that everything is set at that point.
okay. Okay, that answers a lot of things. The administrator, you have any questions, or anybody else, anything else before you move on? Okay, Dan, you want to continue?
I have nothing else to add other than we will, again, provide a much more fleshed out formal presentation to you next Thursday. I think it'll probably take 20-25 minutes to go through with everyone, depending on the number of questions. Unless you have any questions about the resolutions, I know you've received the briefing memos explaining why we're doing this. Evan can certainly answer any detailed questions about them.
And you said this is what we do every year?
We do the funding request every year, and we do the federal Title VI policy certification, I believe, every 3 years, Evan. Is that correct? Okay.
And that's what I wondered about that one. It's just a rule saying that you don't refuse people the ability to get on the bus or employment or any of the kinds of things, that you follow all the guidelines. That's
it's the anti-discrimination and that we treat everyone equally. Yeah.
Okay.
Which of course we do anyway, but we have to have a policy in place.
Okay. So what we're doing today is to look at this and see if we're going to move it on for February 4th for the full board's vote.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why we'll do the presentation prior to, on February 4th, we'll do the full presentation prior to these resolutions being approved on the consent calendar, just in case there are any questions.
Do we make motions for these resolutions? Or is it by consensus that we send them?
Consensus, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then I would
Madam
like,
Chair,
yes,
this is Commissioner Scott. I have one other question.
yes. I want
Dan-
you to ask questions. Think about it, about
Yes.
these resolutions, or what you remember. What do we want to do? Thank you.
Madam Chair, Dan, back when in finance, we went to discuss the basic takeover of Berrien Bus because TMI was leaving, we had a real frank discussion, and I wanted to know what is the status of the discussion that we had back then, where we were going to run it, but then we were also going to rewrite the RFP for sending this out to bid to see whether or not any other companies would come in to run our Berrien Bus transportation. And you guys were going to look at changing some of the things in the RFP that you weren't very happy with that were in there for TMI.
Yes, there's still an opportunity to rebid this. Evan and I have talked to the BCAT about this. I have to be honest. I don't have a great deal of confidence in rebidding the operations, simply because the last time we got competitive bids on this, I think the second lowest bid came at over $60 an hour in operating costs, and at that level, we wouldn't be able to actually pay a contract with that value. We could potentially rebid this thing. And we can certainly pursue that with MDOT as to what the bid documents would have to look like. One of the challenges is we don't even know what Berrien Bus will look like 6 months from now. Ideally, Commissioner, what we would do is create this agency partnership and transition the employees who are currently temporary into the new agency. And that agency would function essentially as a small localized public authority, in the same way that, say, Takata is an authority. But we can look at the RFP process. I have to be frank, though. I don't think that that's going to be a successful way of addressing the employment issue, because I think the cost is just going to be extraordinary if we do that.
All right, but that was the question that I had due to the fact of what was discussed before. I just wanted to find out what was going on there. Thank you.
And I don't understand what it is that you all do that TMI did. And where do you get the money from to be able to pay the people? Is it more than just Berrien Bus that you all manage?
Well, no, that's an interesting question, actually. That's a side question, but I will address it very briefly. We used to also, well, we currently still manage Buchanan's Dial-A-Ride as well.
Right, I remember they gave it to you. Yeah.
Buchanan and Niles have made a determination that it makes more sense for them to join forces together on their Dial-A-Ride system than to have Berrien Bus continuing to manage Buchanan. And from our perspective, it makes more sense as well. It's a more closely knit geography, and their funding sources through the federal government are identical. So moving forward, it appears that Niles and Buchanan will partner in the management of their systems, and we will no longer be managing Buchanan. Okay. Now, in terms of where we get the money from the same sources we always do: state, federal government reimbursements, fare box receipts, contract revenue. The only difference is we used to pay an hourly rate to TMI, and now instead we're actually paying the employees directly.
Okay.
So there's no contract middleman in a sense.
Okay.
And currently, because we have those employees as temporary, they have up to 1,000 hours
Yes.
from the county for payment at this time. And the other point that I've had the privilege of being knowledgeable of is that we're talking about this now, but the fund balance and the operations of Berrien Bus allow us to, there's urgency here. It's critical that we're having these conversations, but it is not something that is going to have to be managed and figured out in the next 3 months, 6 months, or anything like that. We definitely have some time to make certain that the moves that we make are purposeful and are efficient and effective for taxpayers and those who utilize the service, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other thing that's really important here. You know, we've got at least 2 years.
We are, unlike years past where we came in panicked because we thought we were going to go broke. Right. We are actually in decent financial condition right now, and we can maintain current operations for a while. But to your point, Commissioner, the urgency is the employment issue and whether or not we're actually providing a service that's useful to the public. And that's what we need to sort out. And that's where the negotiations with the local units, that's the direction we're going with those.
And this sounds so good that Buchanan and Niles would see it and come together, because I don't want the transportation to stop. It would be wonderful that, you know, different groups work together and we have all this equipment. Like you said, you'll end up with buses and offices and all kinds of stuff. I would hope that it could be, and these communities need to put money in. This is simple. I've said it all the time, but I hope that you can figure out what to do. And will you consider still being the TMI? That's the only way I can describe it, so you'll know what I mean. Will Berrien Bus or Berrien County still be this hub?
I think, Commissioner, I know we're running out of time here. I have maybe 2 ways to respond to that. The first is, yes, it would be nice if the communities contribute, but we also have to demonstrate to them that there's a value in their contribution. So it's not just begging money from communities. It's trying to say, look, if you partner with us, we think we can provide a very valuable service to your community, or we are currently, and we would like some assistance. To the second point, I think realistically, if this works and we're able to negotiate some partnerships with the local communities, we will have to maintain some kind of administrative assistance, at least temporarily, until a true, fully built out partnership agency can take over the actual operation. So I would anticipate we'd be involved in this for some time if we're successful with the initial partnership negotiations.
One
But
other question. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
The goal eventually is to get this off of the county's back entirely and make it a true community partnership.
Okay, I would like to ask Evan, are you still working for some other county? You used to do something with another county?
We administered Cass County system, and when COVID came about, unfortunately, we had to give notification that we were terminating that contract. We had so many challenges to deal with just with our own system. Unfortunately, we could just not run Cass's system at the same time.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have one comment and one question. My comment is to this full committee. If there are questions with regards to whatever Dan and Evan have presented today, I would encourage anyone to reach out to myself or any of the other members of the BCAT team to help answer those questions leading up to next week's full board presentation. Certainly, there's been a lot of moving parts here, and Dan and Evan presented quite a bit of information, both with regards to these resolutions, but also what's kind of been going on with Berrien Bus and where we're going from there. And then my question is directed to Evan. We're on baby watch, right? Any news yet?
Wow, what a softball. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we are on baby watch. So hopefully I will see you all a week from today, unless I am a new father, in which case I will present Dan Fetty for your entertainment. But yes, my wife is very pregnant. We're expecting our first child anytime soon.
That's wonderful. Congratulations to you. I didn't know you were married.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, surprisingly, yes, I am.
Well, not surprising. I pray things will be well. What I would like to give you a chance, Evan, do you have anything to say about these resolutions or about what is going on? It's 9:58. So
yeah, I don't have any specific comments about the resolutions. As Dan mentioned, they're pretty straightforward. But since I have the opportunity, I would just like to say, and I think Commissioner Freeling and Dan both mentioned this, this whole process of taking over the bus system and all of these moving parts has been a lot of work for obviously myself and for Dan and for our BCAT commissioners, but it really has been an entire county administration effort. I mean, the finance committee helping us set up payroll, or not the committee, the finance department helping us set up payroll and billing and, taking over all the financial responsibilities that TMI previously handled for us. Maintenance and grounds has been down here helping us with snow removal and maintaining the facility, which was also previously provided by TMI. Kim Fedison in our department has helped us with the COVID precautions. Motor pool and road department have helped us out with some vehicle maintenance efforts, and obviously Administrator DeSette, who's been in our BCAT and has helped us out. It really has been a team effort, and we've kept everything going. And while 2020 was obviously a challenging year, we look forward to providing the high level of service that we've been providing, but obviously understand that there's going to need to be, some change to the program in order to, kind of reorganize it and make it sustainable and effective for everyone. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to the rest of my colleagues here at the county. It's really has been a team effort.
That is so good. That's good to hear. And commissioners, any other questions? So are you all ready to recommend that we take these proposals to the full board.
I'm in consensus to take them to the board here.
Thank you. You all
Madam
agree?
Chair, I too support.
And I support. Commissioner Hinkleman?
You bet.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for the.
Thank you for your time, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Mhm. Thank you. Take care. Would you talk?
Caitlin Samsel is on with Zoom.
Okay.
There she is.
Caitlin with 911.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. I will keep this brief. I know that you are on a tight schedule. I have a few things to bring before you this morning. The first of which is our Motorola service agreement. You should have that information with the resolution to move forward. It's just a continuation of a contract that we had previously with Motorola for service for our radio equipment on the 800 megahertz side, as far as our consoles and the infrastructure. It's a 4-year agreement with the pricing laid out. Can I answer any questions on that for you? Okay. Then the second item is a resolution for the Telerad service agreement. Again, this is just a continuation of our annual service contract with Telerad for the VHF side of our radio system for maintenance and service.
Okay.
Can I answer any questions on that? Okay. Then our third item is having to do with the build out of our Watervliet Hospital 800 megahertz tower site. And part of that project that we're putting in there to expand our 800 megahertz signal coverage up in the northern part of the county is that we have to do fiber run from the demarc at the outside of the building up to the penthouse where the equipment is located at. That's part of the project. It's a separate cost that we have to handle individually. And so you should have the quote and then the associated resolution if approved. To do that, this is with Dowd Systems. This quote was obtained by IS. They've worked with Dowd in the past. They're a trusted contractor. We also had obtained a quote from our project manager for Motorola. That quote was substantially more, and that was over $55,000 versus the Dowd Systems quote for $22,750. And we're told that the difference in that, it's the same equipment, same service, it's the cost that they're associating with their labor. So we have been recommended by IS, and we ran this past our parent committee with admin committee last week to move forward with, thank you very much, the Dowd Systems quote to get that fiber run put in through conduit from the basement to the penthouse of the hospital, so we can continue to move forward with the project and get it finished up, hopefully by the end of this spring. Can I answer any questions for that?
And Caitlin, this is Commissioner Freeling. If I remember correctly, I was one of two watching in the admin committee. I have to make that point for Commissioner Scott's benefit. And I remember the installation on this was actually something that the hospital had requested for future construction, just the way that it was being constructed, and that it was looked at with regards to the partnership of this company and the hospital and IS to be really favorable.
Yeah, so as far as the way that it's run, the request is to put it in conduit versus just bare fiber, because that will protect the fiber itself and the installation. That way in the future, if anything further has to be run through there, we can do that, as well as it'll protect it if there's other construction by the hospital, that line won't be, or I should say a lot less likely to be damaged or cut.
Absolutely.
That's so good. That's good. You all have any other questions? And so let me just understand, these are not resolutions, they're on the bill list, on the requisition?
First two, oh, Annette, did you want to answer that? I thought I heard.
Yes, because you made a wonderful presentation. We've talked about this a lot, and that's what I'm saying. Is it coming
Yeah, the first two are, yeah, look at it, like magic. The first two, the service agreements, though, there are resolutions associated with those in order to sign those contracts and get those paid. And then the third one, Annette has informed me that that one should be processed as a requisition.
Okay, and you just showed it. Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Oh.
I can't.
I'll defer to elected and then I've got something to add.
Yeah. I was just going to say that my understanding is that the reason that these are coming before us, though 911 is actually a parent committee or department to the committee of admin, it's coming to us because there's finances tied to it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's coming here to be concurred upon.
Okay, thank you. Because I looked for the resolutions, I didn't see them. And so they'll be presented with from the admin. Huh? So
these are tied together with an admin resolution. That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So if you just refer to the map that's present on the screen, this has been shopped actively between the 911 Advisory Board to the Chiefs Association to the Admin Committee. And just as a quick update to finance, just explaining the logic of the project, Caitlin and her team are working to boost the overall radio coverage. This project to be constructed in Waterville East will have an immediate benefit to first responder radio coverage. The map that's up on the screen, if Caitlin can just take 30 seconds and describe what will occur after construction. Caitlin, can you walk the group through that just one more time?
Yeah, I apologize. I lost my connection there briefly. Yeah, so what you're seeing right now on the screen is that coverage map. The purple is indicating where the 800 megahertz coverage is. And once the Lakeland site is turned up, goes into operation, that will provide increased coverage in the Waterville area up there in the northern part of the county. And that's going to be seen as a benefit for not only pagers and in-street portable coverage, but significantly for in-building coverage, which is a main reason why the hospital has partnered up with us on this. They're providing, obviously, the shelter, they're providing our backup power, all of that. Yeah, so there's the map of what will look like in the street when the site is turned on. So that's really what the big impact is going to be, is threefold: pagers, portable radios, and then in-building coverage.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, this question is for Annette, I guess also. Why, we've discussed these already. These came out of admit. Why aren't these on our agenda today? Can they be? I don't know.
They would have been, but we were trying to get those before admin yesterday, just to have them go over those one more time, and we weren't able to have our admin meeting. And so we did get one that's coming to you today. That's the one from Rocky. But these two, we were okay to just hold out for one more week. But they are meeting today at 12:30, so they will definitely be on your agenda for next week.
All right, thank you very much. If I'm good with consensus to move it forward.
Thank you for the question, because I was looking for them, because Ms. Sancho had done great presentation. I know when the white goes away, that means the coverage, so thank you. Thank you for the time and for us understanding. We by consensus agreed that this should go forward. On the agenda.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. We're good now, right? We're going, so committee business? Yes, that's where we're going?
May I have a motion for the minute?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, is that committee business? Would that be under committee business minute?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
May we have a motion to accept the minutes, please?
So
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. I make that motion.
Okay. Then moved by Commissioner Freeling. May I have a support?
Commissioner Scott will support.
Thank you. Any corrections, any questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman, Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Annette, anything else?
And you guys reviewed the bills resolution? You're
Yes.
good with the bills that came?
Yes.
Good, okay. Then I just need to check for public comment. Stand by.
Administrator Doucette, you have anything else for us?
No, we got through the items that I was hoping to have action on. So Parks is off and running, and the jail garage doors are off and running. So thank you for your cooperation on those.
Okay. And may I ask Commissioner Freeman, will you talk about the parks thing when we make a report? Up to the jail doors? Yes?
You've asked me, Madam Chair, to report out on that
Yes.
for the parks and for the jail doors?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. And I will say that Dan Fetty and Evan will come next week to explain. Good. Okay.
Okay, you're good on public comments. You do not have any.
Do we have any visitors?
You have 14.
Woo-hoo!
Okay. So this meeting is adjourned, right? Are you all tired? So this meeting is adjourned. We will see you at 10:30.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.